Scott Richardson, host of Snafu Radio. Welcome to Nature of Reality Radio. It's great to be back on the air. It's been almost a month since I've been able to do a show. I've been going through a lot, but I'm finally able to do a show now. It's great to have you on. Sorry about. Appreciate your patience with me. I forgot to set my alarm clock earlier today. I was supposed to do the show at noon, but now we're on the air. That's what's important. I've got Lyme disease right now, I think, so that's kind of screwing my life up around in ways that I couldn't possibly imagine. But I'm going to work through that, suck it up and work through that. And it's great to have you on. You are affiliated with Miles Franklin, and you're also the guy who's known for that police encounter where the officer smashed out your window after you were like, speeding's not a crime in the state of Texas, and you didn't really handle that encounter the right way, according to Rule of Law host Eddie Craig. But well, we'll get into that after the Miles Franklin and the currency gold and silver stuff. So first of all, introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, your life story from a primary source perspective. Get out your contact info as well so we can set the tone for the rest of this interview. I don't have Alex Jones-itis. I do not interrupt my guests, so I will not interrupt you. So knock yourself out. I put myself on mute. You got the floor.
Well, I certainly appreciate it. And, we just met, and hearing that you got, bit by a spider like that could be some serious stuff, man. I hope you take real care of that, and everything works out because, yeah, I hear some crazy shit. But yeah, my name is Scott Richardson. I live in Dallas, Texas. I am an outside broker for Miles Franklin. I also I grew up here, born and raised in Dallas, and had a little bit of short time in the military, Air Force. Got out of that, started breaking horses. Went out of that, and during that same time, I was also doing construction and carpenter, framing houses and stuff like that. And then kind of went to school, got a little degree in computers and stuff. But hell, you could take that damn thing and use it as toilet paper now. Those degrees ain't worth much anymore. But and then after that, I was general contractor for quite some time until 2018, and that collapse just broke. I just went out of business, and had a client stiff me about 30,000. I was like, screw this shit. I'll never build another house for nobody again unless it's for me. And so anyhow, I wound up kind of hopping around a little bit and got into some organic sea mineral, working with an outfit, doing that as all organics, and it found out how it was coming up against that. That was kind of like my initial brush with, you know, um, the outside forces of government, so to speak, because I was coming out bashing GMOs and wanting to help promote organic minerals and stuff like this. And once I found out how rigged that whole system was, all the way down to the college level, big ag funds all, you know, programs in college, so when farmers go submit soil samples, they always get NPK readings back. They never get anything how to treat organically. So it's a complete rigged system, and I was kind of calling that out. And that's when I actually had my first website shut down, and that was crazy. I was like, man, So anyhow, fast forward, um, I wound up going into insurance, and I'm a Medicare broker, and so I've been doing that for like 9 years. And I was always coming out, and back in 2015, that's when I started studying the law and all that. So actually, it was a couple of years before that. And that was when the internet was still the Wild West. And so videos could still go viral and everything like that. Big Gov hadn't caught on to all that shit. And so people were able to put a whole lot of material out there, and you could really start doing a whole lot of research and stuff. And that's when I kind of got into law, and I met Eddie Craig. We used to go down there to Austin all the time and stuff, and attend his little classes, blah blah blah. And so anyhow, you know, I got my window smashed out by a cop. You know, you can Google the video, Addison, Texas cop smashing out window, and you'll see it. You know, but here was the thing. So I was posting a lot of videos about, holding public officials accountable and all this shit. And whoo, man, you should have seen a lot of hate come through. It was kind of really interesting, but it was really all bots and nobody really knew it back then. Well, and I had my channel and I was having a lot of people come on, different guests and stuff, and they were all talking about different things, from different conspiracies, all kinds of shit, all the way back to Oklahoma City bombing. I mean, this is no joke. And anyhow, 2018 got my first channel banned, YouTube channel. That was before anybody knew about getting banned, and Snafu Radio. And so it was actually, that was a backup channel that I created first. And then I had my original channel that I didn't do anything on because I was actually using it for business in the very beginning until I got my business domain and migrated everything off. Then after that, then because I knew the game plan. As soon as I come out there and started getting traction, they would ban it, right? Well, I went out there and got the name and everything kind of pretty well known, and people were kind of recognizing the content and stuff, and so anyhow they banned it, and I went dark for 3 years and didn't come back out till January 10th, 21. I was, like I said, just dark. And then I come out and just start posting videos and just hammering the crap out of it. And that's why I said, it went from like a dormant channel that had basically no subscribers to 83,000 subscribers in 3 days. And it was really weird how the algorithms were all kind of running crazy on the whole thing, because it was like an old channel that had been around forever and it never been affected by bots or anything. I don't know what to say about it, but a lot of the videos started going kind of quasi-viral and stuff, and so that was kind of crazy to watch all that. And immediately, it only took about 3 weeks, and then they throttled the channel down. It's kept the same amount of subscribers for almost 2 years. I've had some pretty good guests on, and then it was back around March of 21 is when Andy came on. I've seen him, and so on some other shows, and I kind of knew of him and reached out to him and asked him if he wanted to come on. And when he did, it was just, man, it worked out really well. And then I started learning more and more about metals, and I already knew about a lot of the conspiracy and the corruption, and attempting to hold public officials accountable, and the legal and the judicial and all this other stuff, court cases, court laws, blah 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 blah. And now kind of getting on the financial side of seeing how the inner workings of some of this have been going on and is going on as we speak. I mean, you're front row witnessing a collapse of an economy right before your eyes, and you're front row. You're sitting there watching it in real time. So, does that kind of bring everybody up to speed on stuff?
Yes, that FTX scandal thing that just happened is probably going to be a straw that breaks the camel's back in more ways than one, not just for cryptocurrency, but a lot of
Oh,
other things as well, especially
it
since the
goes
whole.
deep politically. It's going so political. Oh man, it's already implicated Congress. There's already Congress members that's already known taking FTX money. Mitch got 2.5 million. Nancy got 6. Oh, and Nancy just quietly stepped down today as that comes out.
Did you just say Nancy Pelosi stepped down as the Speaker of the House?
That's correct.
Oh my God! Well, I've been kind of bedridden all day. I didn't know that, so thank you for bringing that up to date. Wow. Okay, so I better make sure I check InfoWars news every single day. I just
Don't
haven't
worry,
touched
it'll
it
be
for a minute.
plastered everywhere,
Yeah, I'm
man.
sure it will.
All you gotta do is just open up anything. It's plastered all over the place.
I'm sure it is. Um, but let's talk about gold, silver, and precious metals for a bit. It seems like now is a good time to be getting into them. I'm more of a silver guy, but that's mainly because I'm a metaphysical guy by heart, and it is said that silver, from a metaphysical standpoint, is much better than gold, from a standpoint of letting energy flow around you and letting bringing in your angels and guides and all that to help you. You can never have too much silver. Some metaphysical people say you can't have too much gold though. If you have too much gold, you'll get King Midas syndrome, if you know what I mean. And but then again, it's if you can discipline yourself to not get all King Midas greedy like, then I guess well, have as much gold as you want, and if you can keep yourself in check, then it's okay. But I prefer silver, just like the Wall Street silver guys. They just like silver, period, as their slogan goes. Um,
No, there's actually a logical reason that you probably, maybe you're unaware of, maybe not, the gold to silver ratio.
yeah,
No.
well, let me get into that because how do we decide how much gold and silver are worth? Well, in the end, it's worth as much as we as a species decide that it's worth. But how can we make sense of that
Well,
deciding?
it's real simple. It's real simple. And personally, I I prefer silver over gold. And not only do the numbers, when I explain it to you, totally make sense, you'll really understand why you want to be in silver, but other than gold, because the gold to silver ratio is roughly, it bounces between 80 and 90 to 1. So, I mean, we'll say 85 to, hell, we'll just say 80 to 1. And that means it takes 80 silver coins to equal one gold coin. Okay. Now, historically, that ratio traded at 15 to 1. Okay. Now, it only comes out of the ground at 7 to 1. Now, I've had guys that swap their gold in for silver at the 80 to 1 ratio, just playing the ratio alone, because if the ratio went down to 40 to 1, they just doubled the amount of gold. Plain, simple math. So, the whole system is rigged. Roughly, you can figure this. Gold, we'll just say, just for kicks, is $1,800 an ounce. All right. And silver's going to be around, oh, say $25 an ounce. All right, roughly at this, we'll just say 80 to 1 ratio. If that ratio was to remotely even close down, if it got down to, if they just woke up overnight and said we're going to put it back at 15 to 1, that makes silver right around 120 bucks an ounce overnight. Just them saying that doesn't mean moving the price of gold at all. That just sets the ratio correct alone. That where you can see a big move in silver. And it's like I tell people, which do you think will double faster, silver from 25 to 50 or gold from 18 to 36? It just makes more sense. It Gold would be great if it comes down to that, but there's talk it could even go 1 to 1 ratio, just because the amount of physical silver out there is nowhere near as much as what it's led to believe. I just did a show with Andy, the owner of Miles Franklin, and it's on the channel Snafu Radio. You'll have to type in the whole word Snafu Radio and then hit search, because it won't let it populate or anything. You got to dig for the damn thing. But and when you see a bright red D, that's me. But anyway, the contracts, and this is how silver's being manipulated, is through the paper market. And it's called the COMEX, which runs up there in Chicago. And it's the big silver commodities exchange. And that's where all the paper is based on. And they're trading this paper at a ratio. People used to say it was 250 to 1 to 501 or 500 to 1. In other words, there's if there was 500 contracts to one piece of silver, that means 500 people own that same piece of silver. If they all came in and said we want that silver, only one would get it, and the other 499, they wouldn't get silver. What they would get back is cash. They would get their cash back, maybe plus a little bit of incentive premium, 5 or 10 bucks or something, say here, you didn't lose your money, but you don't get the silver. And that's the big kicker right there, because they don't have the supply. And that's what we're just talking about today, even. And here's the kicker. They were thinking it was 250 or 500. It's 1,800 to 1 now. So you can see the amount of tonnage, and I can't remember specifically. I want to say like 35, there's like 35 tons of silver in the COMEX sitting, which is the lowest it's ever been in the history of the COMEX. In other words, there's more outflow of physical silver being taken by people when these contracts come due. They're taking possession of the physical metal and running out the back door of COMEX. Well, now then, there's a big order, he said like India is supposed to take delivery of 300 tons. They don't have that. What's going to happen? All of these big commodity, they're running out of silver. It's going to implode one day is the only thing left that it can do. And when it does, what's going to happen is silver's getting hard to get now. It's roughly 30 days out for practically anything, minimum 20. But for a lot of the coins and all that stuff, everything's been 30 days out. You know, when it gets to where they actually bust that COMEX, they're going to basically slam the doors on selling silver, only because there's going to be a mad rush to get silver. Here's the problem. Less than 1% of the population own physical silver. If that reversed and went 3% the next day, wanted to move into physical silver, they clean out every bit that's on the market today.
Well, we remember the in early 2021 there was the silver short squeeze attempt. It didn't really seem to work. Any idea why it didn't work?
Technically, it did,
Oh, really?
because what it did is it got into the mindset of people. Now, this is where all this rigging is. It's a total head fake, because of the rigging by the paper markets makes it look. I mean, if you look at silver, took like a dollar crash today, you know, and why? Only because it's directly tied to the stock market. And that's the thing. Silver and the stock market used to be inversely, not correlated. Same thing with Bitcoin and the cryptos. They got correlated instead of inverse. Since that, now you're seeing all these tankings going on because they're all tied together and they're not supposed to be. That is directly to the rigging, to the silver squeeze. In effect, though, massive amounts of outflow have steadily been pouring out since then. Man, I shit you not. There, 2 million in September is what I had people purchase in 1 month. They're running out. You know, people were running towards crypto because they were running out of the dollar. People were running towards silver because they're running out of the dollar. We have a program where if anybody has an old 401k or an IRA and you're in paper, you can call me, call New Direction. I have the information, but you can call me, email me, I'll give you the information to New Direction. You can actually get out of the paper market into physical metal where it's stored at a depository. It will be totally autonomous from any government. And so these are private depositories in various states. And so you actually have an off ramp to get out of the paper market into physical. And when you go and tell any of these people that are running these Edward Jones, these financial advisors and all this crap, you want to move over into silver, their head will explode. They will turn into the spawn of Satan. They will practically demean you, tell you how stupid you are for going into metal, when all along that is going to be the safest place, because once you get into physical metal, you become the bank. Period. End of story. You're not relying on that stock market, which is still has it still can go quite a bit down, and people are already saying we're fixing to hit another one. I've been saying that too. I still say silver's going to go down. It's going to take another dip. The only reason is because I'm expecting the crash of the economy. We still haven't had that crash yet to finally bottom out. I think it's coming at the end of December, right around January, somewhere right in there. We're liable to hit the rock bottom, and when we do, it's going to go up from there.
All right, will the economy collapse? I've heard a lot of yeses. I've heard a lot of nos on that. Who knows what to believe? Part on one hand, I was thinking, let's just crash the goddamn dollar so we can start from scratch and get things right. Other people say, are you nuts? That's going to cause a lot of people to suffer. Let's try to transition slowly and surely. Well, the impatient people will say slowly but surely is not really gonna is not the way to go. Let's do it all at once. So it's
Well,
kind of agree to disagree on. Nobody really knows how it's going to work out. Let's just hope our angels and guides will find a way to make it work out in the end. That's what I like to say about the issue. So,
well, I have one more thing to say
yeah,
about that,
okay.
because I don't think it's going to be up to the U.S. to make that decision, because look at the BRICS. And if y'all don't know what the BRICS are, it's like Brazil, India, China, Russia, South Africa, and now Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is running away from America. What was the petrodollar based on? Saudi Arabia cooperating. They're going to the BRICS. They're going to be, in fact, I was making fun of it a little bit ago. It'll have another S, I guess, and it'll be like the bricks, where they're hissing at you, you know. But all they have to do, I mean, why hasn't these other countries formed another currency or a basket of currencies using commodities to back it, such as gold? Because that's already been pretty well established by Putin over there, and he will only accept rubles or gold for oil. Period. End of story. And if you're a friend of his, you get a 35% discount on your oil. China, all them countries, they're like, how many rubles do you want, or how much gold do you need? Those countries are going to get together, and why they haven't done it already is because look at the way the U.S. acts. They sanction all these countries. Oh, we're going to sanction you. We're going to penalize you. We're going to take away your dollars, and you can't do this. You can't do that. Well, shit, they don't need us. They can sit there and do it right there on their own, and should be doing it, and they're going to do it. And when they do, it's the end of the dollar as you know it. Now, the only problem is, what are they going to do? Because they have no choice but to back it by something, and it's going to have to be a commodity. What has it been before? Gold. But here's the problem. What would gold have to be at to basically, all right, let me put it to you like this. They could balance the budget overnight. Now, I figured this out. This was like a couple years ago before they ran up another couple of 3 or 4 trillion or some dumb shit. But anyhow, saying that we have X amount of tonnage in Fort Knox in gold. No matter if it's there or not, we don't care. We're just playing with numbers on paper, right? You take the gold in Fort Knox and divide it into the debt, and now you can wipe out the debt overnight. But what do you have to do? Reprice gold. What would it be? $70,000 an ounce. Now then, do your ratios on that. See where you come in at on silver. Because I guarantee you'll retire a millionaire overnight.
Now regarding getting rid of the debt by paying it off with a commodity and all that, I used to joke around saying, if you know hypothetically when the currency reset will happen, why don't you just max out your credit cards and take out as many loans as possible to buy as much gold and silver as you possibly can, and then with the push of a computer button, all the debt can be wiped off, and you'll get to keep all that gold and silver, and then you won't owe anything. Well, I have since retracted that for, well, first of all, metaphysical reasons. There's a lot of bad karma that comes to trying to cheat your way into getting things and all that. If you steal, bad things will come back to you because you reap what you sow and all that. If you're basically maxing your credit card to buy as much gold and silver as you can with no intent to pay the debt back, well, all the karma that you generated from the debt will come back to bite you at some point. So I do encourage people, do not use a credit card to buy gold and silver until your credit card is at zero and you can be sure that you can pay it off. But regarding the like the currency reset and all, a couple things about this. Before the man who should be president, but is not president now, but has said he's going to run for president in 2024. He was he actually, near the end of his first term, took down portraits of one of the George Bush presidents and also Bill Clinton in the White House, and he hung up portraits of Theodore Roosevelt and William McKinley. Personally, I think the Theodore Roosevelt one was kind of a travesty because Roosevelt, he was kind of pushing domestic imperialism with the whole national park thing, but he tried to be a good president, but he wasn't doing it the right way. Now, William McKinley, on the other hand, he was definitely trying to be a good president with the whole gold standard thing. His running mate, excuse me, his and opponent in the 1896 election wanted free silver, which the bankers would have certainly preferred over the gold standard. And William McKinley was assassinated in Buffalo, like 100-year pre-anniversary before 9/11. Interestingly, that's when that happened by what I'm sure was a mind control patsy of the bankers. Um, well, that kind of put an end to the whole gold standard operation soon. And Donald Trump, or I shouldn't say his name. Hopefully, the algorithms won't give me a problem. Sometimes I think the only reason I haven't been censored off YouTube is because I only have 6,500 subscribers. But anyhow, he wanted to get America back on the gold standard. That's why he hung up a portrait of William McKinley in the White House. The bankers, of course, would have none of that. So they rigged the election and put demented Joe Biden in office. And, well, if Donald Trump, I said his name again, were to become president in 2024, how exactly would he go upon putting America on the gold standard, assuming that's what he really wanted to do in his second term? Any ideas? Any thoughts?
Well, number one, we don't take fantastic plastic, so that will dispel anybody's urge to want to try to use credit cards. We don't take credit cards. But as far as what you're talking about, um, you know, that's the thing, because supposedly he had like Judy Shelton in there, and she was like a real gold bug, and all this stuff in the Fed and all this. Like I say, I'm almost more leaning towards America's going to have to be dragged and kicking into it. They're not going to willingly want to participate. They're not going to willingly want it. They're not going to willingly want to investigate themselves. You heard the Republicans come out today and say they're launching a full investigation into I call him Gilligan, but they're launching a full investigation into it today. And so it's all over the place, blown out. It's getting pretty good. And the connections with this FTX pretty well compromises a majority of the government, not just a minority. I would say a majority. And they're all in taking bribes and kickbacks, all of them. And so this is going to really be quite interesting, because they're going to be having to investigate themselves. And who's going to start squealing is what I want to know. Because some of these people, they ain't going to just take it and just say, "Yeah, I'm taking the whole rap for it." They're going to be pointing the fingers up the chain, and ultimately, it's going to be there's man, if this is going on YouTube, obviously you have to watch what you got to say. But damn, all I can say is I keep saying it's For the next probably 6 weeks, it's going to be kind of quiet. You're going to hear some pretty good rumblings. You're going to hear some pretty good chatter. And until all these people are actually sworn in their offices and really some subpoenas start flying and things like that, then things are going to really heat up. And you can already see how the Republicans and the Democrats are lining up against old 45. And they're going already, it's just like 2016 all over again. So, with the compounding of, you know, Gilligan running this administration into the ground, the laughing stock of the world, nobody respects anything about him. I mean, hell, he's a meme. You know, you hit it pretty low, man, when you're just the dumbest memes that anybody can dredge up, you know, and there are thousands, there's thousands. So the exposure and the corruption is so systemic. Still think that, there's going to have to be some type of implosion of some sort. And, they've been talking about the reset for so long. There's so many things coming into play. The dollar has being printed out of existence. I mean, they're literally printing the dollar out of existence. When you print more of something, it's worth less. When you have less of something, it's worth more. It's just simple economics 101 type shit. It's not rocket science. They're systematically destroying the country. They're giving all that money supposedly to Ukraine, and it's being laundered right back through, and now it's all just disappeared into some black hole. I don't think so. One thing about all this digital crap is there's a footprint and a fingerprint somewhere. And you can bet there's a lot of people digging in on the background there, wanting to know exactly where did all this money go and who all took part. And I bet you're going to see a lot of people resigning and or going. I hope to see going to jail. That's what I want to see. And it and I just heard somebody just got arrested today, and it's not public on the news. Let me see. I'll pull this up. I was going to share this with. Oh wait, no, that's just a fun fact. Oh well, here's a fun fact for you. The CEO of FTX is the daughter of the chairman of the SEC. Bonus fun fact. The director of the SEC Enforcement Division is Melissa Hodgman, the wife of the former FBI agent Peter Strzok. Really? Have a nice day. And then where was this other one? Oh man. Oh, it's right here. Hold on. Pennsylvania, this is a breaking report. Pennsylvania Governor-elect Josh Shapiro arrests Democrat consultant Rasheen Cruz for wide-scale ballot fraud. Daily Caller. Media dead silent. So there could be things going on that you won't hear about because the media will not report about. That's why channels like yours, mine, are important because it gets out the media, it gets out the news the media refuses to touch. They can't touch. Just like Rupert Murdoch coming out and saying he's against 45, and he'll back a Democrat before 45. You can't make it up, but you see the mask. I've said it a long time ago, 2 years ago. I said the masks are coming off, and that's just a cliche now. Now there's going to be divisions, and these lines are being drawn in the sand right now. We're witnessing the collapse of everything right now, and it's in real time. And as you watch this, you notice that number one, the money's losing value. Other countries are uniting. They're making allies while America, I call them the West in general because it's NATO, the West, and the oligarchs of Europe that are the ones that are funding this war, a proxy war to fund Nazis in Ukraine, literal Nazis, the Azov Battalion. And Russia's been fighting them since 1945. They got a lot of experience at that. And they're in their backyard. So, it's a no brainer. Putin is not losing that war by any stretch. Everybody wanted to say this last little excursion where they retreated and Ukraine came back in and got Curzon. Curzon, come to find out, there's a big river that separates that town right there. And so they went right back on the other side of the river so they could defend a whole shitload of territory. And even the French intelligence are telling the Ukrainians it's a trap. You go back into Curzon, you're done. Because they're just bombing the shit out of those people. Literally. The Nazis are dying by I watch channels that are showing where they're just dropping little bombs out of these quadcopters, drones. They're droning the shit out of them. And you see it. It's live footage. Oh yeah. But like I say, these other countries, they come together, they unite, and another twist is when they do say no more dollar, all those dollars that are offshore, which are in the trillions practically, are going to come back here and they're going to basically devalue the dollar even more. So that's why the whole collapse of the dollar is going to have to the reset. People have said the reset forever. I'm just saying what I hear, and but you got to put a timeline to it. Also look at the metals, how all the metals are being just huge chunks. The banks, all the big banks are buying large quantities of metal now. September, October, I think it was October or November was like one of the biggest months. The banks took tons and tons of gold because they don't have the assets. The money is not going to be worth crap. So they're loading up on gold. All of them are. 35. I was just talking to Andy. Andy put together one of the brokers, he's down here in Texas, put together a deal with Andy's company of $50 million right before July 4th. The lady had to fight the banks to get her damn money out because they didn't want to release her freaking money. She finally did get it. She bought damn near every silver. She did. She cleaned out all the silver eagles at the time and all the junk silver. Gone. $50 million. It is a big deal. He just closed just last week or so a $35 million deal or some shit like that. I can't remember. I just posted it on there. I think it was 35 mil or 35 mil. Anyway, just closed another one because everybody's getting out of the dollar. And land, you can't really put it in that because it's so overinflated. When the price comes down on that, you'd be making some good buys down the road, if you got cash or if you got some silver or gold, but primarily silver. Silver is the way to go, bar none. You'll come out way further ahead down the road. Once this reset or reprice happens, it's going to be kind of an overnight deal. It'll be a reset. You wake up, it's just this price, whatever they want to set it to. And they could set it to anything. Go ahead.
Thank you. Now, at this point, I guess I'll make the announcement that the final, like 10, 15 minutes of this interview will be a pay-per-view. Have to pay me on Patreon to listen to it. Please, folks, do consider doing that. Very much appreciated. It's hard to make money these days, and the more subscribers I can get on Patreon, the better. So